The last 5 to 10 years, you see the effectiveness of sales and marketing getting challenged for a couple of reasons. And ultimately, when you think about it, whether it's a B2C purchase or a B2B purchase, your own patterns, your own behaviors, what do you tend to do, and where do you look for advice or input for something that's important to you, that you're about to buy? A peer, a colleague, a trusted source. That's a type of partnership, versus compared to getting your information from a salesperson or a clear marketing piece that came to you from an organization. I think it shifts once you get a relationship with that organization and you trust them. It's very different then, right? Then it's it's a different level of relationship, right? Because now you're a trusted, you have a trusted relationship, a trusted partnership. But breaking through the clutter, I think everybody is just so deluged with all these different channels that the information comes at us, and there's so many options. Most people revert to, hey, do you're looking for friends and family and colleagues, or LinkedIn or whatever, or Ivy, your Ivy network. Hey, do you have some advice on this, right? And that's a referral ultimately, right? And that's a form of like a partnership relationship, and so that's what Impact is focused on, and our customers are using as opportunities to grow through.
That's great. And it's actually, exciting to hear, because it's a very similar philosophy with the Ivy podcast as well, because, podcast is, at the end of the day, it's also our opportunity to expand our network as well and build these trusted relationships, at the same time. And, there's countless deals that actually happened when some of my contacts were executives at one company. They reached out and they said, hey, do you know any executive at this company? We're trying to, get some kind of a business going. And just me brokering that relationship, I think that's, I see a lot of value in that. And that's what, motivates me through the podcast and, the things that we do with each executive. And that's definitely in line with what you're talking about, that partner network that's really relationship based versus, just trying to straight up sell something, which, I've been in that space and it's not as effective.
Yeah. And what's happening is, you're seeing organizations, small, medium, and large, starting to realize this and get more organized around that approach and more professional in their approach to partnerships. And I mean, we back to why have the traditional channels become challenged? The traditional sales channels and marketing channels become challenged because, look, we've been using them, we've been developing them for decades, right? Every organization has a sales force, a sales team, account executives that go outside the firm, and then inside sales reps. And what happened over a couple of decades, software solutions developed to make them efficient, because it's so important for those organizations. There's so much invested. That's their primary outreach for clients and prospects. And what happened? A whole industry of software technology called Salesforce automation developed. And there's a couple of big gorillas that own that space. Salesforce.com, Salesforce being the biggest in the world, CRM, right? So a whole organization, a whole cluster of software solutions got developed, thousands of companies, and they merged and got bigger and broader in their capability. You have things like CRM and Salesforce being a leader of it. And then the same phenomenon about 10 years later was happening with the marketing channels, particularly with the emergence of digital marketing and so many different channels that digital marketing provides.
Right.
And so it's the same thing. You have all these software solutions that start different companies creating a piece of the solution, and then these things get bolted together through mergers and acquisitions or their own organic growth, and you have a couple big companies like Marketo and others like that, and there's that whole cluster called marketing automation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring this point home now. The same thing's happening now in the world of partnerships. All types of partnerships, whether they be a referral, like you and I were just discussing, like Ivy, or you personally are just, or I personally as a business executive are looking for advice, right? It's just a referral. Oh yeah, well, a referral could be done professionally, right? So that whole span of partnership types, a referral, an affiliate, a B2B, a biz dev relationship, a B2B direct partnership,
Right.
a brand with a media company,
Mm-hmm.
a mobile app provider with a mobile app provider. All these types of partnerships are developing, and companies are starting to get more sophisticated around using them. And so you're seeing a lot of software solutions crop up to make them efficient. And you're starting to see those software solutions come together and be a broader, more holistic offering, just like you saw when I did that historical thing, sales automation, marketing automation. There's now the same thing is developing, and we call it partnership automation.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can't agree more with you on that.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe if you don't mind, just share with us a little bit more in terms of what products and services that Impact offers and your role within the organization.
Yeah, great. So maybe first my role, Scott Brazina, CMO, head of marketing, and been with the company for a little over 2.5 years now. And traditional CMO responsibility, responsible for the company's overall go-to-market strategy and positioning and demand gen and awareness build and thought leadership. And that last piece, thought leadership, I think I'll make it ties in very, very directly with that concept that we were just talking earlier about partnership automation. And we believe that there's a new category of software that's being developed, that's emerging, and Impact is one of the leaders in developing that thinking and a solution for it. And so that ties in heavily with the thought leadership work that we're doing. So we do a lot of primary research on the value and the growth offered through partnerships. And we do that with firms like Forrester Research. And the last couple of years, we've sponsored a couple global surveys and studies that have shown what is the value through partnerships that companies are getting, best in class, and how fast are they growing, the ones that are doing it well. And then this year, we're focused with another wave of global research that dives down into how are they doing it? How are the best in the world growing so fast through partnerships? But so that I started to go into our solution. And so again, I'm CMO, head of marketing, and our primary offering is called the Impact Partnership Cloud, which is a SaaS solution, software as a service solution. We are a software company. That's what Impact is. And our integrated solution for partnerships, our partnership automation solution is called the Impact Partnership Cloud. And that solution automates the range of partnerships, the types of partnerships that we were talking about, automates the discovery, onboarding, contracting, measurement for success, global payments, and then analysis and optimization of those partnership relationships worldwide. And being a SaaS platform, many of our customers use it, big brands and mid-sized firms use it to offer transparency to their partners around the world. So Harry's, which is a client of ours, and American Express, their partner, Harry's partnership program the partnership team working with American Express to create a partnership relationship. In this example, linked to a loyalty program that Amex offers to high-level tier loyalty customers, which unlocks certain gifts or special offers to loyal customers of Amex, and in this case offers a half year of Harry's subscriptions, so Harry's razor products. And that would be a program that both companies created, and then they're both viewing it through our SaaS platform. And so they have like full transparency from both sides, so they can see the results, the performance, and then work together to optimize their partnership program.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely sounds like a lot of exciting products, a lot of, very cool services that you guys are offering. Through the past kind of 2 months, as I talk to a lot of executives through different organizations, there's one thing that I like to ask in terms of what practical recommendations can you provide to other executives, something that has worked well for you or maybe has not, as you lead the marketing division of enterprise technology organization during COVID. What were some of the kind of valuable lessons learned during this period so far, as we deal with a lot of these unprecedented times?
Yeah, well, so it's so specific to the last couple of months with COVID, I think there's lots of great examples out there. A lot of companies, I think, that are like Impact, that we'd say and we took some lessons from some of those and shared some thoughts as we developed our approach to it. But we have a dedicated effort around how we are approaching this as a company, and our first and foremost was the health and welfare of our employees and the security of those people working for the company. And so we have immediately shifted, even before the stay-at-home orders started to come from different hotspots. We're fortunate to be a SaaS company, so a lot of our work was and is able to easily be done remotely. But we immediately started to shift towards a work from home approach globally, and so our first concern was immediate security and health of our employees, trying to understand local conditions and stay and learn from them, even from the areas that weren't yet publicly negatively affected. We're a global firm with over 500 employees across the United States, Europe, and Asia Pac. So we were sharing a lot of information amongst our offices, and quickly started to get ahead of this. So immediately went to shift to a work from home program, and lots of communication with our team about the condition of our business and what our next steps were. So a lot of transparency. And then as we now shifted into a couple of months of, I guess, work from home, and everybody's starting to talk about, and a lot being written about, cabin fever, we have a lot of discussions around self-care and maintaining, good mental health and still being safe, but specific suggestions on what our team can be and should be doing, and making sure to take breaks. And again, within the restrictions of their area, get out and exercise. We also quickly realized we were good already with at least quarterly or monthly company meetings, virtual meetings. And we've now shifted. So this is a specific thing that's been very helpful for us. We've now shifted to weekly global huddles. We call them global huddles. And so they're a quick 45-minute to 1 hour, all hands around the world. Everybody's living through Zoom or something like Zoom anyway, so we're all now expert at that. So we we've accelerated the pace of those. And so we put in a 45-minute to 1 hour global huddle, and it's just fun. We share, their abbreviated versions of those quarterly roll-ups. So it's, we're sharing tips and tricks. We call them cabin fever pro tips. And we share ideas for what's working for each other. And we have Slack channels on those types of things. But then we also talk about the business and keep everybody up to date on how things are going, and celebrate a lot of successes. We're still hiring, and we welcome the new people. So we're shifting to these global weekly huddles, which is very helpful. And then I think also another big point of it was our customers. We have made a dedicated effort to reach out to our customers that are their businesses being affected potentially negatively by this business, by COVID. And being a SaaS business, we can see usage patterns and things, so that can, plus of course our customer support team is tightly involved regularly with their clients, and some of the clients would reach out to us. So we're fortunate in the sense that a lot of our customer sectors, being online businesses, are have surged through this period. So like home food delivery, all types of online services are seeing really unprecedented volumes. So we have a mix, of course, but we have some that are doing really well, that allows us to balance everything out and potentially be flexible or help with clients, that be a good partner with our customers for those that are trying to get through hard times. So we're doing what we can to work with customers on both sides of that. Both sides of the effect of COVID on their business.
Right. Absolutely. As kind of staying on the same topic of COVID, and you gave some pretty good examples. From your standpoint, as you lead the marketing division of your organization, what do you think will be kind of the new marketing trends that will emerge as a result of COVID times? Is there any particular trends that you're currently researching that you're looking to implement within the organization? Any specific trends that you're watching? Just curious to get that kind of domain expertise opinion on that from you.
Yeah, I think it's what you're going to see, and we're already seeing it with some of our customers, and then I think things that are also being written in the press. But it's accelerating. I think these times of COVID that we're currently in are accelerating the adoption of online approaches. So I mean, some that are unarguable, and industry events, right? Major association or industry events, or companies' own private events that are face-to-face, ours included. Our business at Impact, we have a large annual gathering every year. The last couple of years it's been in New York. We were literally a week away from signing the venue. In fact, we had already signed the venue for, it would have been this June. We have it every June in Manhattan. And this year we had to move to a larger space because of our growth, close to 800 attendees. And we had to shift that from a face-to-face event to a virtual, just like many other firms. So I think the types of marketing approaches that companies are using, B2B and B2C, unarguably are getting shifted even faster towards online and digital, and then trying to figure out how to make those as effective as possible, and for both the client, prospect, or customer, and the company. So anybody that the big point there is, any company that was slow for digital marketing and advertising to adopt major programs and techniques they're speeding up now, right? They have no choice.
Right.
And then I think those that had already embraced it, ourselves included, our marketing mix is heavily digital. We're just getting more sophisticated. So there's lots of techniques and technology offerings out there that are emerging literally every quarter that are allowing you to get more targeted. And so we're exploring and buying and testing new approaches that allow us to get much more targeted. And I think there's been a big movement in the last couple of years, about 5 or 6 years, towards account-based marketing and selling instead of just broad awareness and demand gen, but specifically between marketing and sales, getting together and saying, what are our market segments? And then stepping to the right and saying, okay, what's an ideal account profile look like? Oh, it kind of looks like this kind of company. Okay, great. So let's go find 500 to 1,000 of those companies, and then step into the right and saying, hey, for any company in that market, the problem that we solve for them, what are their key problems and who are the key decision makers? It's not a purchase committee of one person, and it's not a purchase committee of 20. It tends to be 5 to 15 key people and job titles. And you go and get those individuals and then have a professional marketing and sales orchestrated professional discussion with those 5 to 15 key people per those 1,000 accounts. And it completely changes the approach. Right now, instead of the whole United States or the whole world or all of EMEA, you have 15,000 individuals that you're focused on driving awareness and purchase consideration. And it's a much more effective use of resources, both the salespeople and your marketing resources. So any kind of technologies that help do that I see taking off. Ours included, a partnership SaaS platform that allows you to target prospective partners.
At the beginning of our conversation, we briefly touched upon the whole concept of partnership economy, or that partnership approach, so to say. From your standpoint, how this type of business function can drive not only authenticity with customers, which is more important right now than ever, but also the growth beyond traditional sales and marketing campaigns. I mean, you deal with that, you implement those strategies on a daily basis within your organization. Can you share with us a little more insight in terms of what the concept is all about, and how can perhaps other companies leverage this concept as they look to grow, drive sales, to increase, brand awareness and so forth?
Yeah, great question. The partnership economy, that's a concept, just simply that's trying to explain and introduce the world of growth and commerce through partnership. And every organization is a participant in the partnership economy on some level, right? Because partnerships have been around for centuries, and every organization has some type of partnership, whether it's completely ad hoc and spurious, or it's on the other end of the spectrum, it's really mature, and you have people, process, and technologies dedicated to it, try to do it world class. But so the partnership economy is a concept of what is your company ABC XYZ, what is your strategy and approach and your business that's driven through your partnership relationships. And then there's different levels of that, and you have companies have ecosystems of partners, whether they be referrals or affiliates or supply partners, or resellers, value-added resellers. The partnership types they're complex, and there's many types, but collectively they aggregate to be called what we call the partnership economy. And then the concept of once things start to get big and varied and complex, that's where the automation comes in. And that's when you say, all right, well then how are the best in class really approaching and doing world-class partnerships? They're using automation, and we call that partnership automation. And that's the category of software that we're in. And in our solution there is the Impact Partnership Cloud. Now, we talked about it earlier. First, why now? Why this big drive towards partnership and growth through partnership? And it gets back to an issue of trust from the buyer's side, whether it's a individual consumer that's making a B2C purchase, a consumer purchase, or it's a B2B buyer making a strategic, critical, mission critical, career ending. Boy, if I pick the wrong software platform and spend a year and a half building it in and it's not right, or whatever the B2B application is, that purchase, right? It's there's a trust factor in where we as buyers are looking for our information these days. And you and I talked about it earlier. It's now shifted away from traditional. There's a lot of distrust towards traditional sales channels and marketing channels, and there's many studies out there that show that. And so then where do people naturally gravitate towards? Trusted relationships, partnerships. So there's this natural evolution that's going across the B2C and B2B buyer behavior towards relationship, getting information and making purchase decisions through information they get from trusted sources. And those are what we would call partnerships. And so then when you think about back to companies that are methodical and strategic in their development of partnerships, you start to map out your partnership ecosystem, and you start to think about the types of partners and partnerships that would really benefit your business. And there's a whole range of partners, and many of these partnership types have existed for years. Affiliate relationships are a classic one that are strong and growing. And then there's referral partnerships. And then there's, as we talked earlier, there's also app to app partnerships, where a company may have a mobile app and they want to partner with another company's mobile solution. There's direct B2B relationships that are being developed in partnerships. So like that example that I gave earlier with Harry's and American Express. And there's a range of partnership types that are developing. And as companies think about their partnership programs, to use partnerships for top of funnel, like awareness development, or mid funnel, where there's already some level of understanding of their offering, and then they're using a different partner type for that type of engagement. And then maybe the back end of the funnel, where the prospect is really starting to get comfortable with their offering, and then there's a different type of partner that may work well at that space. Mm-hmm. And so you can start to see that it can get complex. And so how do you find these types of partners? How do you communicate with them? How do you onboard them and strike up a relationship? What are the terms of that relationship? So now you're into like the partnership contract. How do you define success for both you and the partner? And then when success is achieved, how do you measure it, and how do you pay it? And then lastly, towards the right, how do you optimize it? And so that, and then do that globally. And so when you get complex partnership programs, both by complex because of the number of partners, first maybe the number of partnership types, and then the quantities of partners in each one of those types, and then also global, right? When you introduce those three dimensions, things start to get very complicated. Imagine doing world-class CRM without Salesforce.com, right? The way that we used to do it 20 years ago, where you had a spreadsheet and an email account, right? Yeah, that's, so the world of professional partnerships, development, growth, and management has now gotten very sophisticated, and that is what partnership automation solves, and that's what the Impact Partnership Cloud is a leader in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for providing the actual examples on how you guys leverage that whole concept of partnership economy with some of your guys' clients. Definitely, seems like something that's an effective strategy, not only to build a trusted relationship, but as it leads towards, the business development and sales and marketing and so forth. So thank you for providing those examples.
Yeah, and I think John, I think I also missed a point. It may be helpful. You asked maybe if I had some specifics as far as like performance and results. There are what I would point out is, and this gets back to some of the primary research that we've recently sponsored with Forrester, and other firms have followed suit in the space. So they're funding their own research. So we're not the only provider in the world of partnership automation, but others are starting to do primary research like us, and we're seeing similar conclusions from their studies as well. But you could see some of the Forrester results from our site or Forrester's. But just to give you some numbers, the last year, a global Forrester study that was done across 450 companies around the world, a third from APAC, a third from EMEA, and a little less than a third from the United States, showed that mature companies that were partnership mature, were generating upwards of 30% or more of total company revenue through partnerships. And they were growing that partnership revenue an average of 28%. And then that was compared to the laggards. So they did a comparison of partnership mature companies to partnership immature. And instead of 30% of revenue, the immature ones tended to be more like 15%. So it was almost half. So the point was, companies that are sophisticated and dedicated towards their partnership programs, you're seeing real success in the marketplace, right? 30% of total revenue being generated through their collection of partnership types. That's big. That moves the needle for any business. And so the world of partnerships and growth through partnerships is now it's a C-level issue. It's when you can say, hey, our collective partnership program, whether it be affiliates, referrals, biz dev, right? Our traditional biz dev team, influencers, our B2B deals, when you put them all together and you can then optimize them as a group and generate 30% or more revenue, that gets the attention of the C-suite. And then you even see firms bringing in new roles, creating new roles like chief partnerships officer. Mm-hmm. And so we're starting to see that emerge across some of our more sophisticated companies. And that's a role reporting directly to the CEO, and they're coordinating work from the biz dev team and from the affiliate team and from the influencer team and maybe the mobile app group. And that chief partnerships officer is helping manage all that strategy across those different approaches that traditionally were more siloed.
Right, absolutely. And that's, those are some pretty impressive statistics that you're providing in terms of the, results that companies derive through this particular approach. To shift gears a little bit from that topic, with so many companies going through downsizing, furloughs, layoffs, what has worked well for you guys, so for your division, when it comes to employee motivation and keeping the performance levels up, as you guys see, I'm pretty sure through other organizations or even some of your partners and clients getting, impacted by the current times?
Yeah, so you're talking about, you're asking about what have I used with my group and inside of my company? Yeah,
exactly. Kind of what do you do on continuous basis to make sure it's hard, it's hard not to pay attention to a lot of things that are going on with other organizations, and you hear that in the news with so many companies, downsizing, and with with a lot of the workforce now being laid off. How does that impact your employees, and what are you currently doing as the lead of that organization to keep the motivation up?
Oh, I understand. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good question. It's a mature question. We to be honest, communication, oh, and this has not changed. We're just the DNA of Impact as a company. It's just our culture. Fortunate, our culture is one of, it always has been one of, um, transparency across our teams, and open, accountable, trust. And so I think we are fortunate to have that DNA and that approach already wired in. We definitely shifted it to another level, I would think. I think with COVID, we even got more specific about it, and then openly discussing these challenges, like we talked earlier in this interview. Talking about what are they seeing in their, from a health standpoint, and then from a business standpoint. So we're specifically sharing information about what we're seeing across our customer base, and then what our view is to the future based on discussions with analysts that we do a lot of work with. And we're optimistic. Our business is still strong. Like I was saying before, many online businesses are surging. They're seeing the traditional holiday peaks of online traffic. They're seeing those consistently. Some online businesses are seeing that consistently week in and week out now. And so that for us, that balances with some that, maybe we also have customers that are specifically in the travel industry, right? And travel services are being challenged right now. But net for all, when you add that all up, our business is still very strong. We're still hiring. And so we talk about our business. We talk about the customer base that we have and what those businesses are going through. And then we also talk about, look, this is gonna, our optimism about this passing. And then for us, it ties also back to a question you asked earlier, which is, how are you seeing companies react from a marketing standpoint? And I said those companies are accelerating their online marketing and their online business, and so for our business, that's what we do, right? The Impact Partnership Cloud is an online partnership solution,
Right.
Specifically targeted on revenue growth through partnerships. So we're really optimistic. We think once there's this acceleration towards online, we also think that it's a bigger issue, but I also think there's going to be, you could say there's a fork in the road for not only the United States, but the world, on whether or not we shift towards a period of greater partnership domestically and globally, or less. And I'm strongly in the first camp. I believe the genie's out of the bottle, and partnerships are the way, are just it's the way humanity is wired, first and foremost, and benefits through partnership socially and economically far outweigh isolationism. And who could not use a productive partnership, right? Ask that question the next meeting you're in, whether it's just a group of friends or in business. Raise your hand if you don't want a productive partnership. Nobody raises their hand. Flip it around. Who would be interested in a productive partnership? All hands go up, right? Whether it's a personal partnership or it's a commercial partnership, right? So we're very optimistic around the world of partnerships on all levels,
Mhm.
whether they be reseller type partnerships, the more traditional ones, historical traditional ones, or the what we call the modern partnerships, the referral partnership types of affiliates and influencers and BD deals and media deals direct with a brand. Those types of digital and they're being powered at scale globally through the internet and digital solutions like partnership automation. That world of partnerships on all levels is going to continue to take off. We're very bullish on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some of the examples that you're providing, I can definitely relate to that because as, as I lead we're part of the service that we provide at ProSource is IT niche staffing, where we partner actually with companies, with different size, so global organizations, and it's the same concept. It's the same concept of partnership where we help them find very niche IT talent, or whether that's an executive search or management consulting. It's all based on that relationship. It's all based on that at the end of the day, partnership, as you've been talking about through the entire episode. So that's very something I can definitely relate to, and I can attest that some of those things work. They definitely produce results. So
Yeah,
definitely
yeah. So it's like well, again, it's like Ivy. It's like LinkedIn. It starts. It's like throwing the metaphor of the rock into the pond, and you see the rings come out. Right. It's all of us have these rings of relationships and connections, and those if you and I knew each other well from whatever period of our life, right? And we had respect for each other. That's your gold, right? That's your primary path for insight, right? And that gets back to that other thing we were just talking a second ago. Isolationism versus partnership on a commercial scale or global scale. It's got to go towards partnership, because it's like it's in the spirit of the best decisions and the best ideas come through sharing and collaboration, right? I found it through my career every single step of the way, right? Surround yourself with the best and brightest, have open dialogue, and you will consistently come out with the better solution than if you just were in a room by yourself. Right. And that is where you fundamentally peel it back to, should I partner or not? Right. That's very, I'm getting very basic, but it's kind of like the root of it. It's like you bring in experts and expert advice that you can trust. That's a partnership. You collaborate and you elevate to an outcome that you could have never gotten by yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. From personal experience, the biggest deals that I have closed all been based on that relationship, trust-based partnership approach, so to say, and that it's long-term. It's not something that, you sell and you're done. It's mutually inclusive in terms of really investing into that, long-term relationship, because at the end of the day, everyone benefits from that. So I'm very excited, to hear some of the examples that you're providing, how you guys go about, your approach, your relationship building, initiatives with your clients, your partners. So that's very exciting. And I hope that a lot of executives who are listening, that, they can take a lot of, practical recommendations from this. Last but not least, I see quite a few books on your shelves there, on right behind you. I'm curious, what are you currently reading, and what is one book that you always recommend to others, and why?
Oh, wow. Okay, so what I'm currently reading, in fact, I think you may know the gentleman who wrote it. Performance. In fact, it's right here on my desk. It's not the one behind, but it's you can see what all the hand notes written in it. Performance Partnerships by Robert Glazer, who's a friend and a partner, a great partner. He and his firm are a great partner with Impact Acceleration Partners. And so they're a services agency that focuses on strategy and execution of performance partnerships and affiliate relationships. And so I'm rereading. You say, what am I currently reading? So I read this book's about 2 years old, and I highly recommend it for anybody that's interested in understanding what we've been talking about here, partnerships and performance partnerships. This is a great resource for it. I'm rereading it because we're in the process. Impact is deep into the process of writing our own book on modern partnerships.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a multi-year effort, and it's scheduled to publish in Q1 of next year. And Wiley and Sons is our partner publisher. And so anyway, I'm rereading Bob's book on performance partnerships to revisit some of the core principles that we're talking about. So that's one that I'm currently reading / rereading. A great book. And then one that I'd say go back to often is actually is one that's behind me, by John Doerr.
Yep.
Measure What Matters. Right? You may have probably read that in the past, and I just think it's a great timeless approach to revisit, to make sure you are focused on the right things individually and as a company. And we Impact as a company use a management approach to make all of our team members focused, the company focused on the OKR method, operating key result. And so we're tuning that whole process up to another level. And so that had me revisiting John Doerr's Measure What Matters. But I think a lot of people probably read that. So a little bit of maybe you're looking for something philosophical or so, but at the end right now, I'm focused on key results and making sure that we're focused on the right things and we're efficient on that. It's got me in that mode right now.
Well, that's exciting. For our listeners, we'll make the titles of these books available in the episode notes, so you guys can search them, read those books. Thank you for the recommendation, Scott. Anything you want to add in closure? Anything that we haven't touched upon? This was, for me, very insightful episode. I learned quite a bit. We definitely appreciate you sharing a lot of the advice, the strategies that you guys are implementing at your organization. Sounds like Impact is making a lot of impact in terms of how you guys go about really building that partner network, partner economy, so to say. And that's very exciting to hear. I hope that a lot of executives actually look into that type of approach, because I know it works firsthand. It's something that we use, something that we leverage in a different capacity, but it's I can definitely relate to that. So definitely thank you for your time. Thank you for the valuable insights, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, John. Well, look, it's been great getting to know you through this call, and when the cloud passes and we're able to meet in person, I'm really looking forward to meeting you and a lot of the others at Ivy in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that when things stabilize more, so to say. We do spend a lot of time with some of our clients in New York, so I'm pretty sure we'll get an opportunity to meet in person. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.